Hello and welcome to the EDHRECast, where we're all about Commander, data, and dad jokes. I'm Joey Schultz and I'm joined by my puntastic co-hosts. Up first, he wants to build a Boromir deck that is actually a Borosmir deck. It's Matt Morgan.
So I recently learned that the guy who invented the Ferris wheel never met the person who invented the merry-go-round. It turns out they traveled in different circles.
Wow, that's a really roundabout way to get to a punchline there, Matt.
Well, I mean, sometimes you got to travel on different planes to get to a different place.
Up next, he saw the new card rating schemes, and it brought him right back into his World of Warcraft days. It's Dana Roach.
In honor of Ninja Turtles, I wanted to make a pizza joke here, but I was having problems getting the delivery.
All right, nicely done. You know what? It's okay. Problems with delivery. So was the turtle set itself having problems with delivery. So it all works out.
Both these jokes are very roundabout in the way we got to the punchlines.
True enough.
And a little cheesy.
Very cheesy indeed.
A little cheesy.
All right, guys. On this episode, we're talking about some cards that folks may have missed. We went back through a couple of sets, say like the last year, a little bit more than that, of sets, and noticed a couple of cards that just flew under the radar for a bit, but they're actually kind of amazing powerhouses when given proper attention. These cards are really fantastic, and I think we're going to talk about some of these just lesser known, lesser played cards, things that are showing up in like less than 2% of decks, to give people some ideas for other cards that they could be playing in their decks to make them even better.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, so one that I know is being played in barely 1% of decks, and so not very many at all, 12,000 total, is Combustion Man. This card has been absolutely hilarious every time that I have seen it out. It's 3 red for a 4/6 human assassin. It is legendary, but whenever Combustion Man attacks, you destroy target permanent unless its controller has Combustion Man deal damage to them equal to its power. So the thing that I think got missed so much in this is you don't have to attack Joey and target Joey's thing to blow up. There's so many political things that you can do with this card, and it's so funny to watch all the lights turn on with players. Like, I can attack Dana and then target Max's permanent. That is kind of a problem and puts everybody into a conundrum. It does everything red decks love doing, and every time it's come down, it's been so silly to see.
It's a bit like that Glissa Sunslayer effect, where when she swings through, you can destroy an enchantment or remove counters or whatever. Mm-hmm. But it doesn't have to be an enchantment controlled by the person you're swinging at. It's like you can find the person that you like, oh, that person has no blockers, or a blocker they're not going to definitely sacrifice to a first strike Death Toucher. But I want to destroy that enchantment over there. So let's you pick that person that you can get through on and then destroy the thing that's a problem.
I mean, that might be the most common commander political trick is, Joey, can I attack you for 2?
Sure.
Will you take that because I need the benefit it's going to benefit you more than that 2 life would. That happens all the time in like so many games.
Mm-hmm. We just had an episode about the most fun commanders. I appreciate that you're taking the mini game spirit from that episode and putting it into the cards that you put into the 99 in this episode too.
This card's just been so freaking silly every time I've seen it. I've seen it in like way more games than I ever thought I would for just a random uncommon from Avatar. This card's a lot of fun.
Dana, how about you?
So this is one that I missed because I misread the card. It's Opera Love Song, which is 1 in a red. And it's an instant, and it says, exile the top 2 cards of your library, and you may play those cards until your next end step. And it also has a modular ability on it. 1 or 2 target creatures each get +2/+0 till end of turn. I love this card. I love Reckless Impulse. I love Ren's Resolve. But I had misread this initially when it got released, that it was you may play those cards until the end of this turn, which is way less useful for impulse draw. Mm-hmm. You're already going to be down at least 2 mana casting the spell, let alone anything else you've done for the turn. It's just much less useful than being able to play those cards till the following turn. So I had misread this and it ignored it. The fact that it not only has the modular ability on there where you can also use it for a creature buff, it's instant speed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Opera Love Songs at less than 1% inclusion in decks. It's in 17,000 decks. Should see a lot more play. And it's also the kind of thing that kind of efficient draw is just so useful in red, being able to do it for just 2 mana. You're not reliant on anything else. You can cast it on turn 3 if you kept a 2-lander and this or something to get that next land drop. Or
the instant speed I don't think can be undersold enough. Because leaving 2 mana up in so many decks is often very suspicious. So yeah, having 2 mana to get that card advantage, that's always super important. But then also, it's a combat trick. It's so freaking just flexible. I love this card. A lot of this episode, I feel like I was looking through the notes. This really could be all the gems from Final Fantasy that you missed. And I was really tempted to put all my cards from Final Fantasy, but I didn't. But yeah, having this be a combat trick. And again, Dana, your favorite clause, this doesn't have to be one or two creatures you control. This can target your opponent's creatures. Oh, sure. Having that political flexibility, card advantage. This card's great.
It's so good for those Play from Exile decks that want another one of those 2-mana efficient things. Put this in your Prosper, put this in your Faldorn. There's a lot of homes for it. It's a fantastic little piece of work. Yeah, you know what? I guess as long as we're talking about Final Fantasy, I'll mention one here that I think was a little, maybe like under the radar from that set. That's Town Greeter, which is a 2-mana green creature human citizen. It's a 2-mana 1/1. When this creature enters, you mill 4 cards and you may put a land from among them into your hand. And if that land was a town, you like get 2 life or whatever, but that doesn't really matter. This is just another copy of Satyr Wayfinder, you guys. And Satyr Wayfinder shows up in nearly 79,000 decks. 2.11% of decks that can play Satyr Wayfinder are doing so, but only 0.57 that could play Town Greeter are doing so. I play a lot of decks that want you to fill the graveyard. This is a fantastic way to do that. And frankly, I'm in love with a lot of versions of this. Cash Grab is a great one that happened from Bloomborough a little bit ago, but also the new Lorwyn Eclipsed has Midnight Tilling, a 2-mana instant, mill 4 cards and you may return a permanent from among them to your hand. And that's a permanent, not just a land. There's a couple of those variants on it now, where you could get back a land or a creature or an enchantment or mana rock or whatever you need from those. There are a lot more of these types of spells now that can help you fill the graveyard and help you find the thing that you need. And I've been putting them into more and more of my decks. Yeah. Don't overlook these. They're extremely good spells to help you grease the wheels of your deck when you need to fill the yard and also find the lands to play.
Yeah, Town Greeter's great. Like there's so many decks that want it too, like especially if you're flickering it, you're recurring it some way, or just you want something sitting there to be a blocker, sack fodder too. Like I can see why all three of us picked the cards that we did to start this episode off with. Joey, you're filling the graveyard. Dana, you're drawing 2 cards. I'm making people take damage. Like these are all very us cards, but also like they're still very good cards too. Mm-hmm.
Well, and don't discount the fact that some of these fill the graveyard, but then make a card go out of the graveyard. Satyr Wayfinder reveals the top, and then you choose one, and then the rest go to the graveyard. This one actually mills, and then you reclaim something from it. So that'll trigger a Teval or things like that. So there are actually little extra uses for those things as well that I just think is really neat. So yeah, give those cards a look. Don't overlook them. There's a higher density of those types of cards now that I think really warrant some inclusion.
Yeah.
Guys, before we get too deep into other cards that people may have missed out there, let's take a quick pause and do some shoutouts.
We are excited to be again teamed up with Dragon Shield moving into 2026. We just got a preview of their new sweet dual matte sleeves with a silver color inside and a bunch of colors on the outside, so you can mix and match your deck sleeves with the vibe of your deck. There's the Ravnica Guild sleeves. We have Fetch Land sleeves. We have some fantastic card art sleeves like the Ur-Dragon and Dracogenesis, and they've got even more things on the schedule for 2026 to exceed what they did last year. It's going to be a really excellent year for Dragon Shield. Use promo code EDHREC in all lowercase at dragonshield.com to get 5% off your next purchase. It helps the show and helps your cards stay safe.
This show is also brought to you by you, our brilliant patrons at patreon.com/EDHRECast. All your support in any form means the world. Subscribe, leave us a review, make like Krark and give us your thumbs. And your support on Patreon goes so far, getting you access to cool perks like our exclusive Discord, our Challenge to Stat spreadsheet, and patron shoutouts. Speaking of which, Jens Corell, big ups to you. Thank you so much for being a patron. Thank you for listening, watching, supporting, and we hope you're having a dang good one.
But also, there's another way that you can support the show. We've talked about, using our links to Dragon Shield, supporting us directly. But now we are super excited to announce that coming up soon, coming up on March 18th, EDHREC has partnered up together with Architect and Cardsphere to create Space Cow Media, the merch store, which is going to be just a way for you to support and get gear from all of your favorite Magic the Gathering sites out there. So whether you want to get EDHREC, you want to get the podcast shirts, then we have exclusive designs over there that you can't get anywhere else except on the store. So keep an eye out for the Space Cow Media merch store coming on March 18th.
Cool. All right, guys, I'll move into another card that I think might be a smidge overlooked. It is from the Spider-Man set, which I've already said I'm no great lover of this set, but there is a card in there that has made its way into a handful of my decks because I play a lot of Aristocrats. That is going to be the card Agent Venom, a 3-mana 2/3 symbiote soldier hero who cares about the creature types with Flash and Menace, and whenever a non-token creature you control dies, you draw a card and lose a life. It's showing up in 0.8% of decks that can play it so far, barely even 14,000 decks. This is a type of ability that we have seen before. It's very reminiscent of Grim Haruspex, but Grim Haruspex is showing up in nearly 3% of decks that can play it, and over 118,000 decks. And that's the one whenever a non-token creature you control dies, you draw a card. These types of ability, I think Midnight Reaper is another one of them. Those are pretty invaluable to us Aristocrats players out there, and we got one more of them that I don't think should go overlooked if you are going to be playing those Aristocrat strategies. You need the card flow because of how many creatures you're sacrificing. So that's another one that I would put forward as like, hey, don't overlook it. That card draw is actually pretty meaningful, and it's kind of nice that this variant happens to have Flash as well.
Yeah, Flash and Menace is a kind of big deal on here. Being able to do this at instant speed, like you can leave your mana up to deal with another problem. If that problem doesn't show its face, you can flash this in, or something bad happens. Oh, there's a block happening that I wasn't anticipating. I'm going to flash this in so I can get the card draw off this. Or like there's just the flexibility is what's really, really nice.
Well, and flash is so important too. Like combat tricks happen if a block turns unfavorable, you can flash this in to be able to get advantage of that. There's a lot of flexibility with this card specifically. And I do think, Joey, yeah, people didn't really like Spider-Man. They kind of just glommed over it.
Yeah.
Fair. I know I did. I did that. I'm kind of doing that with Ninja Turtles right now.
Yeah, I get
it.
But
yeah, there are still gems out there in these sets, even if you're kind of not a big fan of, whether you don't like Universes Beyond, whether you don't like Spider-Man specifically, whatever. There's still really good cards in all of these sets. I mean, Dana, you and I had a conversation today. I haven't paid attention to the Ninja Turtle preview season at all.
Yeah.
But there's still some really cool cards out there. So keep an eye out. Like if you got some cool stuff from your pre-release kits, there's some really cool cards in there still.
I don't necessarily love the Spider-Man set. I understand some people do. But what I do love is losing life and drawing cards when my creatures die.
Sure.
Yeah. And that's what this card does. And I can stomach that if it means I get a couple more cards. That's okay with me. You can consider me part of the problem. I can take that. That's fine. Plenty of people out there who don't like the Universes Beyond crossovers. If we are going to talk about new cards that people might have overlooked, well, when it comes to new sets, half or more of them each year are Universes Beyond. So it's kind of inevitable that we end up talking about these if we're going to talk about new cards. And this is one that, if you're playing Aristocrats, I hope you're at least aware of. That's kind of all there is to it.
It does. The art doesn't matter as long as you get to draw the cards. All right. Well, Joey, I've got a card too. It's kind of like flipped on its head from your pick. The card Hardened Tactician. I felt like everybody was going to be playing this card way more than they were, and it just fell off the face of the planet once the cards started going into decks. So Hardened Tactician is from Tarkir Dragonstorm. It's 1 in Orzhov color, so black and white, for a 2/4 human warrior that has 1 mana, sacrifice a token to draw a card. And I just remember there was so much hype around this card because people are like, oh my gosh, it's only 1 mana. You can sacrifice, you can convert your clues, you can convert whatever extra tokens you have laying around to draw cards. And it's such a good rate too. It's only 1 mana and just for any tokens you have laying around there. This is something I also expected a lot of people to be playing on, and I feel like people just kind of forgot about it because it's not a sexy effect. It's not something people get really excited to do, but it's one of those veggies that you just want to play to keep your deck, moving smoothly. It's only played in about 1.49% of decks right now. It's just 17,000 total. And I just felt like this card was going to have so much more of an impact, but then over the past year, people have just kind of forgotten about it.
I was actually in a pod in Atlanta, I believe it was, last fall, where someone had this out with a Jaheira, and they were making treasures. And at one point, they were just like, tap a treasure for a mana, sacrifice Hardened Tactician to draw a card, tap a treasure for a mana, and they just drew 8 cards off treasures that they had. I mean, it was just disgusting. But even if you're not doing stuff like that with it, this is just a really good value piece in a decks. There are so many tokens today flying all over the place, so many particularly artifact tokens that are make a whatever, make a mutagen token, make a blood token, make a treasure, make a whatever, that are just stapled onto every effect in every set.
Lots of little rectangles.
That you might as well just use them for things like this. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think we all probably collectively balk at a sacrifice outlet that has a mana restriction on it.
Yeah, 100%.
It's because we're so used to a lot of the sacrifice outlets that don't.
Yeah.
So there's possibly that informing a bit of it. But yeah, definitely a card worth reinterrogating.
Well, at the risk of repeating myself here by advocating for a effective, efficient draw 2 spell.
Go off,
I'm
King.
with the card Trash the Town. And this is a little bit older. It's from 2024 versus 2025 or so. But I did want to talk about it because I think this one really got overlooked. It's a single green mana, and it has spree, so you're going to have to spend at least 2 mana to cast it. But the spree modes, for 2 additional mana, you can put 2+1 counters on a creature. For 1 additional mana, you can give a creature trample. And for 1 additional mana, you can, until end of turn, give a creature the ability to draw you 2 cards when it deals combat damage. Green's good at drawing cards, but green tends to have spend 6 mana, draw 8 card kind of spells. And you need a few ones to get you to the point where you can cash that Risk Cards Expertise or the Return of the Wild Speaker or whatever it is. Trash to Town, I think, is really overlooked. Green tends to play a lot of mana dorks. It tends to have small bodies. It tends to have trample. And there's no point in the game really where it's not worth spending 2 mana to draw 2 cards. But it also has the ability to put counters on things. It has the ability to give a thing trample, which is really nice. That ability stacks a double strike, so you can very frequently, on a double strike body, draw 4 cards off this for 2 mana.
That's fun.
There's nothing amazing about this card, but everything it does is very, very useful and very, very efficient, and it's useful at almost any point in the game. I just think this is a really cool card. I think it has a lot of utility and it should see more play.
I think, Dana, you just named your memoir where there's never a bad point in the game to pay 2 mana to draw 2 cards.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's a little wordy and it could use some refinement, but I like this pick a lot. This is so cool. It's a lot reminiscent of Scale the Heights, which is one of my favorite cards for a long, long time, where you draw a card, you put a +1/+1 counter, you can play a land. Those types of cards just kind of grease the wheels early in the game. I love these effects. I just built a Tifa deck, and it's mono green. There's big draw effects that's really easy to do that. But this is the type of card I've been looking for. It's just a small, efficient way to draw cards. Hunter's Insight is great. Yeah. So this is absolutely another option in that vein.
I love the flexibility. Surprise Trample also will sometimes just really get people.
Yep.
Turn that little chump block. Oh, you blocked with a Thopter? How about no? Those are fun moments to be able to create as well. I'll move to another thing here, going into a slightly separate direction. Let's talk about Feardock Core from Lorwyn Eclipsed. This is a 3-mana Kindred Artifact Shapeshifter mana rock. It taps for 1 mana, but it also has Changeling. This artifact, this mana rock, is every creature type. You can also pay 4 to make it turn into a 4/4 artifact creature that also, again, will have Changeling and stuff like that. I know this doesn't seem like a whole lot, 3 mana rock. Here's the thing. Put this in your Ur-Dragon decks, please. Because it's a dragon, which means the Eminence will reduce this cost by 1. This is another Arcane Signet in those decks. Put it in there. This is actually fantastic. I love this for a variety of my own decks. I have many decks that care about the types of cards that you're using. I have a Sid deck that cares about this being Changeling because it is technically another Artificer or Hero. I have my Babala Saga deck that cares about the fact that this is both a Kindred and an Artifact. This is playing around in a space that is actually decently efficient. But most of all, if you're playing Ur-Dragon, y'all, I think you want this. You're playing Arcane Signet in 80% of those decks. You probably want another one right here too.
Well, and the cool thing about this, like you said, it has Changeling. So if you're playing any the Dragonstorm cards from Tarkir Dragonstorm, like Roiling Dragonstorm, well, you bounce those back to your hand whenever a dragon enters the battlefield.
There you go.
This is a dragon.
Yeah.
That synergy is absolutely silly. So if you're playing some of those supplemental cards in dragon decks, the synergy is through the roof.
There's a bunch of decks where it's just going to generate you a little bit more value, and the cost is you're spending 3 mana on this instead of 2, or you're spending 3 mana on this instead of another 3 mana rock that you're maybe already thinking about running in that deck.
Yeah, it's got a surprising number of little uses. It's subtle, but don't overlook it.
Yeah.
And that's the premise of this whole episode, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, so I know my last card that I picked was black-white. Well, I have a Sultai card next, and I know this is complete departure from me not picking any green-white cards, but this card, I've been so impressed with it, and I look to put it into all the decks. It's really restrictive, though. It is a Sultai card that we're going to pick up next, and it's Rakshasa's Bargain. So this is a blue, a green, and a black. It's also hybrid, so you can pay 2 mana instead. So it can get costly, or it can be 3 mana. For an instant that looks at the top 4 cards of your library, you put 2 of them into your hand and the rest into your graveyard. And I love all these types of dig through time type of effects, where you can instant speed look at the top X amount of cards like Consult the Star Charts, also very, very powerful. Rakshasa's Bargain is so flexible, though. I absolutely love this because not only are you looking at the top 4, but the cards that you're not putting into your hand, you're throwing into the graveyard. And tell me a Sultai deck that doesn't want to put cards in the graveyard anyways. Whether you're playing the Town Greeters like Joey talked about earlier, this card just does so many things at instant speed. I love everything this card does. It's drawing you cards. It's getting you selection too. Just there's a lot to love about this card. And at only 3 mana, it is. I understand why people don't like it because it only goes in Sultai decks and it's very mana intensive. But it's in barely 1.1% of decks. There's a lot of Sultai decks out there, and just every single one of them wants this type of effect. Maybe again, knock it because it's not a permanent for your Muldrotha decks, but even then, you can't have all permanents in your deck.
I haven't given this one a chance, but you mentioned a comparison to Consult the Star Charts. And frankly, I don't know whether that one's eligible for this episode because it is like $5 or $7 or something
it's
right now.
It's everywhere, yeah.
But it is showing up in fewer than 2% of decks. So technically, it could be that like it's only in 1.3% of decks. And Consult the Star Charts is like the truth as well. Like
that card is sweet.
That card digs a lot deeper than it looks. So yeah, just a couple of these cards to consider if you really want a lot more advantageous card selection.
Yeah, if you don't have the $5 for Consult the Star Charts because Standard is a format and it's really good there. I mean, this is a 15-cent card.
Nice.
This is so cheap. It's a great role player. I love everything this card is doing.
Well, I have an Edge of Eternity's land I think should see more play, and that's Secluded Starforge that currently has a 0.59% inclusion rate. It's in 21,000 decks. Taps for colorless mana, and you can spend 5 mana to tap it to make a 2/2 colorless robot artifact creature token. But the real value is in the other ability. 2 mana to tap X untapped artifacts you control, and target creature gets +X/+O till end of turn, activate as a sorcery. So that's the downside.
Oh, heck yeah.
But the upside
that's
here,
so cool.
Is if you were playing an equipment deck, first of all, half of your spells are probably colorless anyway, so you can afford colorless utility lands from even more than normal in that deck. But those are all equipment. They're all artifacts that aren't being tapped for any reason at all. And like really often, this is just spend 2 mana, give your creature, +6/+O, +8/+O. For no reason at all, at no cost other than the mana, and you can do it every single turn right before you swing. Let alone like maybe treasure decks where like you have treasures you're not going to spend, or clues or food or whatever. I think it's very good there too, but like especially an equipment deck, if you are playing a dedicated equipment deck, this should just be in your deck full stop. There's almost no downside to it, and it's going to turn a hit into a kill really, really often.
I can't believe I've not seen this card before. I'm putting this immediately into
I haven't either.
I'm putting this immediately into my Barakos deck, which like the whole point of that deck is to amass a whole bunch of treasures with Barakos's attack trigger. Like last game I played with it, I had just 10 treasures sitting around that this would then convert into a +10. Yeah, it's a sorcery speed, but I also usually give things like protection and unblockable, so who cares? Like I'm so excited for this card now. Almost like an artifacts version of a little Kessig Wolf Run action type of deal. Yep. Pulling up my card sphere account, gonna put this into my wants list real quick. Don't mind me.
I also, as Dana was talking, opened up my Architect account and went to my Arden and Kedis deck, which is all about equipments, and put that into my maybe board. Because if you're playing a bunch of equipments, you can tap those effectively for free. That's such a wild ability. I really, really like this. And it's a quarter. It's a 25% card. And like this is going to, like you said, it's going to turn ouch into I'm dead. Yeah, that's what this card does.
It'll sit there and you'll not need it for multiple games, but there'll never be a downside to it. It'll just be a land that taps for colorless mana that you're making, a bunch of anyway in that deck. But there'll be that game where, this is the difference. This is why I won. This card sat there and there was no downside to it, but because I had it, I won that game because I was able to turn what would have been a 6 mana hit into a 12 damage hit.
Yeah. This card's sweet. I've never seen this either, Joey. This is kind of wild. Like. And Edge of Eternities didn't come out that long ago either. Like this card is kind of the perfect encapsulation.
It's only like 12 sets back.
Only 12 sets ago, yeah. But like this card is like perfect for this episode because like it's not that long ago, and 2 of us have never even heard of this card.
I love this pick, Dana. This whole episode is kind of a challenge the stats type of episode, to be honest. But I would like to do an official listener pick from one of our Discord members, Seth, who just recently in our Discord was talking about the card Defend the Rider, a 1-mana green instant from Aethergift that can either give target permanent you control indestructible and hexproof, or can make a 1/1 pilot token at instant speed. This card has shown up in 1.08% of decks, and Seth felt like it's maybe overlooked in comparison to other similar cards like Tyvar Tyvar Stand and Tameo Safekeeping, which are also 1-mana green instants that can give hexproof and indestructible. Tameo Safekeeping, as the point of comparison here, showing up in 5.75% of eligible decks, and like for being a common, it's actually kind of pricey. And this example, this pick really spoke to me a lot, because literally the day before I saw Seth's message in our Discord, I had just realized that I was playing both Tyvar Stand and Tameo Safekeeping in my new Avatar Kyoshi deck, but I was not playing Defend the Rider, and I wanted to make room for Defend the Rider for it to protect my 8-mana commander. So Seth, thank you so much for highlighting this one. I agree, this card is way overlooked.
This card is great. It's such a crowded field now. Like, there's so many different effects of this, because yeah, you want the Tyvar Stand in case you want the pump effect, and it's kind of just depends on what your deck is. Whether you want, like, I love Snakeskin Veil because I play a lot of +1/+1 counter decks. Defend the Rider, though, always is relevant because, like, it's a surprise blocker. It's a saving your creature from target removal. This is such a just good card. It stinks that it was from Aether Drift, because, again, that's probably the reason why everybody ignored that, because of all the sets, like we talked about, Spider-Man was Aether Drift got the most hate, and just nobody wanted to dig through these types of cards. And yeah, absolutely. This is a great call, Seth. Defend the Rider is sweet if you need that type of effect.
Well, Challenge of Stats has been brought to you by Cardsphere, the best way to turn cards from old decks into cards for new decks. And one thing people have asked me is if you can use it to actually get expensive cards.
Yeah.
And just this week, I have had 2 copies of Nykthos Shrine to Nyx sent to me, and I sent out an Ancient Tomb to someone else. And I've also seen like ABU duels come and go if they'll do some of the trade stats on there. Yes, absolutely. Big cards go through there.
I'm currently negotiating. I'm trying to get rid of a couple of my dual lands. I'm negotiating a tropical island to send to somebody and just trying to figure out a good price. But big expensive cards happen all the time over on Cardsphere.
Yeah.
I got a Bristly Bill and a Scythe Cat Cub, and those both are like $50, $40. I got a really good price on them on Cardsphere, though. Like, big money cards go through the system all the time. It's a great way to just get a good deal on cards that, like you said, Dana, you're not using these. Let's get these instead.
And if you want to pick up some cards like this, you can do the same. Just go to cardsphere.com/EDHRECast to get started today.
Guess what? Our favorite deck builder, Architect, just released a really cool new feature, uploading custom cards. A lot of folks like to homebrew or invent cards for house rules or just test out their own game designs, and Architect now has a place where you can customize your own card, name, cost, types, text box, and put it right into your deck, where it will be treated just like any other card would. You can make a card that is totally blank or upload your very own custom image of your custom card. And yes, when you make your designs, not only will they count towards all of your deck's stats, such as tracking things like your mana curve, your pips, your types, to make sure that all of the stats of your deck are accurate, to make sure you're getting the very best deck information, but also all the designs that you invent or upload are usable in the Architect playtester, which is of course the very best playtester in the biz. What's really exciting is that this new feature has also laid the groundwork for Architect to support uploading alters of cards too. So if you want to upload your own custom images of pre-existing cards, the fine folks at Architect have even more stuff cooking, so let them know if that's something that you'd like to see in the future. Check out our deck lists at architect.com/EDHRECast to keep up with all of our brews and try making your own custom cards while you're at it. That's archidekt.com/EDHRECast. All right, Dana, what's your next pick for us?
Let's go back to Final Fantasy, right?
Let's do it. I won't tell me twice.
The card is Yuna's Whistle.
Yes.
0.49% inclusion, just 10k decks. Instant speed, 1 double green, and you reveal cards from the top of your library until you reveal a creature card. You put that card into your hand, and the rest on the bottom in a random order. And when you reveal a creature card this way, put X +1 counters on target creature you control, where X is the mana value of that card. So obviously this isn't very good if you're like playing an elf ball deck and you're going to hit, a 1-mana elf or something and put it in your hand for 3 mana. But there's a lot of decks that just aren't running small creatures. Joey mentioned the Ur-Dragon before. This is going to put a giant dragon in your hand and put like 6 counters on something. Like, that's kind of the worst case scenario in an Ur-Dragon deck. There's just plenty of decks out there where this is for 3 mana, puts a ton of counters on a creature, and puts a creature into your hand for next turn at instant speed for 3 mana, which means you can, either keep mana up until the end of a turn in case you want to have, a Teferi's Protection to save your stuff, or you want to keep a counter some mana, whatever, or you can do it as a combat trick in response to somebody like not blocking, and then you can turn that creature into a much harder hitting creature. There's just a lot of versatility here. I think it does a lot of work in the right deck, and I'm just genuinely surprised it's only in 10k decks.
This card is so sweet.
I love that you reveal the creature and then you get to decide which creature you're putting the counters on.
Yep.
It's not that you target a creature first and then find out how big it got. You get to see the creature and then you can make your choices based off of that. This came out in the Titus Precon, which was very low to the ground. So I think maybe like people's initial impression of seeing that card was like, oh, you know, I have a lot of 2-drops in this deck because that's how the Precon was sort of fashioned, was very low to the ground. But I've seen you use this in your Dragons deck, Dana. And when I say I've seen you use this, I mean I've seen you KO me with this, really, because suddenly you got like 5 extra counters. And in a +1 counters deck, it's never just 5 extra counters. It's usually 10. So,
and I've hit Earthquake Dragon off this at least once. So it's like, oh, there's 14 counters on something out of nowhere.
So cool.
But like a combat trick that draws you a card is super, super valuable. And having it be like, this is such a good value for 3 mana too. Like I just love it. If you're playing in the right deck, this is, like Joey said, it's not just 5 counters, it's 10. It's not just however many, like it's going to be more.
And like Joey mentioned, like you can pick the creature too. It's like, oh, I hit one of my couple small 1-drops, so I'm going to put the counter onto, you know, Evolution Sage or like one of my small creatures to make it a little bit bigger, or something that doesn't have any counters on it that you can start rolling those counters up then with future proliferate effects or something, whatever it winds up being.
Yeah. Well, let me keep this Final Fantasy green Precon hype train going, because I have another card that I even overlooked, and I love these types of cards. So everybody knows Rishkar's Expertise. That card just gets me excited. The card Lifestream's Blessing. It's 4 green for an instant that you draw X cards, where X is the greatest power among creatures you controlled. As you cast this spell, the timing is super important there. And if this was cast from exile, you gain twice X life. This is so stinking powerful, folks. Like I cannot believe like I missed over this. You cast for 5 mana because you want to foretell it and you want to gain all this life. But the timing restriction compared to Rishkar's Expertise or a lot of these other types of cards where you draw off the biggest creature you have, this being locked in the second that you cast it is so important. It prevents you from getting blown out, which is a huge opportunity cost when playing these types of cards. But you get to draw all these cards. Man, it is absolutely a house. I love this card. Just being able to ensure that like I have this big thing, casting at instant speed. Now, you don't get to the Rishkar's Expertise because you cast something for free. You can't get everything, folks. Like you have to give up a little bit. There are some concessions, but instant speed, drawing X cards, so powerful.
What you do is you gain a bunch of life instead, and that's not nothing in today's rather accelerated pace of commander play.
Yeah, that too.
Last time that I cast this, I drew 8 cards and gained 16 and staved off lethal damage as a surprise. And I felt pretty darn good about that. That felt nice to me.
Well, like when Rishkar's Expertise came out, it was a big deal that it scaled down, like because previously we had like the Soul's Majesty kind of effects where you had to target a creature, and if someone removed that creature, it fizzled. Well, Expertise was really nice because even if they remove your biggest creature in response, it will scale down and you'll still draw a couple cards, right? It's never going to be dead. Well, now this is even better than that. Like you said, like it's on cast, so you're going to, unless someone counters it, they can't remove your creature in response and let you draw off a smaller creature. You're just going to draw off that giant, whatever it is that's your biggest creature. Full stop. And yeah, the option to gain a ton of life off this, it can absolutely be game changing as well.
Yeah, what a pick.
Yeah, this card, it's only played in 1.3% of decks. And for a reference point, Rishkar's Expertise is played in almost 10%. So a tenth of the people that are playing Rishkar's Expertise are playing Lifestream's Blessing. And we've talked a lot on this episode about how if you want one copy of this effect, here's another really good one you want to consider. I can't believe it's 10x difference, though, from Lifestream's Blessing to Rishkar's Expertise. So that kind of blows my mind.
Yeah.
I'll move to a red card, a little unusual for me. I know I don't play a whole lot of red, but I do get smacked upside the face with a whole lot of red decks sometimes. And Terminal Velocity is one that impressed the crap out of me the other day. This is a 6 mana red sorcery from Edge of Eternities. You may put an artifact or creature card from your hand onto the battlefield. That permanent gains haste, and when this permanent leaves the battlefield, it deals damage equal to its mana value to each creature, and at the beginning of your end step, sacrifice this permanent. It's showing up in 0.16% of decks that can play it. That's barely even scraping 3,000 decks or so. This is a situational card. I definitely grant that, and I think that probably scares a lot of people off of it. Totally valid. But that thing is, when you use Terminal Velocity to put in like a 6-mana artifact, and then yes, the artifact dies, but you got a TTB effect and also destroyed all of the other creatures around, and then I'm sad on the other side of the table, I think you're gonna feel just fine. I think it's just fine. This card, every time I've seen it, has wrecked the entire board in the coolest way. So I really like Terminal Velocity a whole lot.
I have seen this card precisely once, but boy, was it cool because they put a triplicate Titan into play.
Yes, there you go, right?
Oh, that was cool.
Yeah.
That was so cool.
9 damage to all your creatures, and I get tokens left over. So good.
Yeah, this is a Combustion Man type of card. Like, oh my gosh, just people forget that this happens, and it's kind of like Sneak Attack, but you just smack attack instead because like, you're just beating people over the head with whatever you put. I love this card. This card's sweet.
It's one of those cards where you look at it and you're like, oh, this doesn't really work in any of my decks. Or you go, oh, this is so ridiculous in this deck.
Oh, yeah.
There's like no in between.
Yeah, here's my Meteor Golem.
Yeah.
Literally Meteor on the field. Yeah, it's great.
Yeah. And again, this is one of those cards too, we like to talk about like trying to make a story. This is a card that like makes a story, right? I got to cast a Triplicate Titan off this. And like when you use this really often, something kind of crazy is going to happen. There'll be something that someone will comment on afterwards about how stupid it was.
Yeah, like I'll totally grant that there are going to be times where this might feel stranded in your hand here and there. But I do appreciate like adding in some of those cards for a little bit of like, but if the stars align, what's going to happen? And when it does,
so cool.
Yeah, I still remember the games that I played where I saw this card because that's how much of an impact it had, both on the battlefield, destroying everything, but also just on our joy of the game. So,
well, you want to know a card that goes really well next to Terminal Velocity? It's probably the tastiest commander in the past few years. I'm talking about Manon, the Ulthros Exile.
Oh, Femininomenon.
Yeah, that one. Chapel Roan can play Magic too. We'll take her.
Yeah.
But this is one and is it colors, so a red and a blue for a 1/3 Jellyfish Advisor. Unique. Has flying, but whenever an artifact you control enters, you put a +1/+1 counter onto target creature, which you can put onto Manon. All you want to. 0.8% of decks are playing this. It's nuts. It's absolutely just wild how big and how fast you can get this thing playing artifacts in Izzet decks within like a turn. Just one turn cycle, Manon, whatever you pronounce it, can get so freaking big. Like, this is a beat stick. And if it's at the head of a deck, if it's in the 99, all those Izzet decks out there that play artifacts just absolutely love having this around.
Also, when you play it, you get to go Mana, da 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 da, Mana.
If you want a Jellyfish Advisor, that sounds like a Muppet character.
There you go.
So yes, that absolutely fits.
I was going to make a comment about the Manon thing, and Joey said it, so I like nothing.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. Okay.
No, that's fine.
Yeah.
God, I'm looking at this and I kind of want to build this as a commander too. Like, can you imagine casting a spell swindle, getting a bunch of treasures, triggers this like 6 times or something, and suddenly your commander's hitting for 7 in the air? I might build an Izzet deck here soon, y'all. This card looks really great in the command zone too.
It makes all those looting cards like Unexpected Windfall like just brutal too.
Nice.
Oh, I'm going to make these treasures. So Seize the Spoils gets really, really good.
The fact that this has flying, I think, is actually kind of a big deal too.
Yeah.
Like really, really often there's cards like this where, they'll get a +1 counter on them and they'll roll up and, you'll have like this 7/7 there, but it doesn't have trample natively. There's no way to punch through. Like you're going to find yourself, it's a good blocker, but this isn't that. This is a situation where really often this is going to be threatening to hit somebody for a whole bunch of damage.
I think we just turned Joey into an aggro player, maybe.
Yeah, I might have an Izzet deck here in my future. I really like that. Come on, Femininomenon, or however you pronounce this name. Uthra's Exile.
And Joey, you can even get like altars with Chapel Roan too. Like, it's perfect.
Well, my next pick here is from back in Duskmourn, and so we're talking about a year and a half old, but this is a card I'd skipped over in its Seance board. At the beginning of each end step, if a creature died this turn, you put a soul counter on Seance board so it has Morbid. And you can tap it for X mana of any color or X's number of soul counters on it, and spend this mana only to cast instant, sorcery, or demon or spirit spells. So when I first saw this, I was like, well, I don't have a demon deck or a spirit deck, so I'm not going to really pay any. I kind of then immediately thought about it, not a single bit after that. I dismissed it immediately. And I saw it recently in a deck, and the person played it, and I was waiting for them to like be doing sacrifice shenanigans or something, and they didn't. It was just a mana rock there in a deck that was casting a lot of instants and sorceries, except for like 3 turns later, there was 9 counters on it just from stuff accidentally dying, from like the sacrifice player sacrificing a creature, or this person chump blocked, or this happened. And then all of a sudden This Sans board was tapping for as much mana as their land base was. It was absurd, and that was without them doing anything. They weren't proliferating. They weren't like sacrificing tokens on every turn to roll it up intentionally. They weren't doing anything abusive at all with it. It just accidentally was making a ridiculous amount of mana. If you were doing something where you were intentionally trying to make it do gross things, I'm shocked I have not seen this in decks before then, because just in that kind of deck where it was accidentally big, it was huge. I think this is a really good card. Its inclusion rate is 0.42%. It's in under 30,000 decks, which surprised me. I thought it was going to be even less than that. But yeah, this card can be an absolute house.
I mean, if you give an Izzet player their version of a black market, I mean, black market's played in 171,000 decks out there. So it may not be for every deck out there, but the decks that want it, this has a lot of upside.
I love the idea of this, not even for your own, tactics, but actually to like leverage the fact that all of your creature playing opponents are just going to casually have stuff going here and there. I really love that. Just kind of leveraging their own momentum against them a little bit in ways that me, as, a graveyardy type of player, now have to account for how often it is that I'm trying to make those things die in case I'm accidentally ticking you up on mana. That's a really cool card to watch for. I love this pick too.
And if you're like in a Talrand deck or in a Lundro deck or something, it adds that little extra mini game in where like, okay, do I want to attack this person and they're going to block with one of those many disposable Drakes, or do I want to block their Drake? Okay, 2 damage or 1 extra mana every time they tap this Sans board from this block. It then creates a little bit of a weird mini game as well.
That's great. That's really, really cool. Love that. I'll go a little bit more recent than Duskmourn, and let's go back to Lorwyn Eclipsed here with the card.
The set of years gone by, the bygone days.
Yeah.
I wasn't trying to call Dana old with that, but it probably did sound that way. I want to talk about Personify from Lorwyn Eclipse. This is a new blink spell. It is a 2-mana white instant, exile target creature you control, and then return that card to the battlefield under its owner control, so immediate blink rather than delayed blink. And it also creates a 1/1 colorless shapeshifter creature token with Changeling as you do it. I love blink spells a whole lot, to dodge a removal spell with a Cloud Shift or an Ephemerate or something like that. And this one also happens to come with 1 extra warrior or angel or spirit or cat. I think that's actually very, very good. Dodge a removal spell and you get 1 more body for your deck that cares about creature types. I'm putting this into my Sid deck probably, for instance, or into my Celis deck, which has a commander with a crazy ability when it enters the battlefield. This is a great blink spell that you just simply should not overlook, because also emergency blocker feels pretty darn fun.
Yeah, and I wonder if the inclusion rate in this kind of thing isn't because we've gotten so many blink spells recently that people are like, I have all the ones I want in my blink deck, I don't need more. They glance at it and they're like, okay, I don't want it. It's not worth me pulling out that Cloud Shift or something else to make room for it. But I think the ability on this in the right deck is so useful, it's worth taking a look at. It's easy to get in the weeds a little bit and be like, well, these minor updates aren't worth doing in a deck. But like when you make 3 or 4 or 5 of these little tiny updates to your deck over the course of a year, that makes for a big update. Like those little things do really, really add up.
Yeah.
I mean, I think this sounds like a really good addition for the commander that you talked about a couple weeks ago, Joey, with Mr. Negative.
Yeah, exactly.
This seems really good too. Like if you have a commander, even that just being able to get those ETB abilities that people love to play in commander, this seems like a really good slot in so many commanders.
Well, and I like that it is one of those spells that does immediately bring it back. The delayed blink spells are good to dodge board wipes and stuff like that, but sometimes you do want that ETB ability right away. And there are several of those blink spells that do bring a thing back right away, Cloud Shift, Ephemerate, things like that. But it's not quite as big as the depth of blink spells we have that will bring things back at the end of turn, for instance. So I like seeing this other one here with a little extra bonus tacked onto it. As a point of comparison, Personify is showing up in less than 8,000 decks right now. That's 1.28% of decks that can play it, whereas a card like Cloud Shift, which I think is a decent-ish comparison, that's the 1 mana immediately blink a thing at instant speed, that's showing up in 3.72% of decks that can play it. And for 1 more mana, I also get a blocker that could have some synergies into whatever creature type I happen to be playing, or be a blocker for me, or whatever like that. I feel like that is actually pretty nice upside. So Personify is probably going to be making its way into several of my decks.
All right, well, I'll go back even further to a forgotten set of Final Fantasy that came all of last year ago.
This is just a Final Fantasy episode for Matt. It really is.
Yeah.
But like truly, like there's some of these recent sets like Edge of Eternity's Final Fantasy. The more you dig, the more you get rewarded. Like these are just... I remember when we used to do this for Baldur's Gate, when like, oh, it's been a couple years, but now every set is Baldur's Gate, which is good and wild. But the card that I want to talk about right now is Elena Turk Recruit. So it's 2 and a white for a 1/4 human assassin. So when it enters, you return target non-assassin historic card from your graveyard to your hand. So you get to regrowth something basically, as long as it's not an assassin. Then whenever you cast a historic spell, you put a +1/+1 counter on Elena. So this is doing two things that I think Magic Design the past couple years has really kind of gotten carried away with, which is making every creature legendary. Every creature is historic. And so you don't even have to be playing a dedicated deck. Like, Elena's just good casually in so many decks now because there's so many legendary things running around. Everybody plays artifacts. That's just a basic thing that you play in all your decks. This accidentally gets huge, but also if you're playing a dedicated legendary creature, like I have this in my Shanid deck, does work there. Absolutely. I get to regrowth the best thing in my graveyard, and then it just gets bigger as I just play my game. I love everything about this card. And just accidentally, you don't have to be playing in a dedicated, if you can play in an artifact strategy, and every time you play an artifact, you get Elena to be bigger. Like, something about these 3-drops that love artifacts coming into play and getting huge just has really tickled my fancy lately, apparently, because Elena Turk Recruit is just super great. I love this. It's not getting very much play at all. 0.75% of decks out there are playing Elena. That's just very, very low for a very powerful card.
I think this card maybe also shines when you think a little bit outside the box in terms of historic, since all Planeswalkers, for example, are technically historic cards. This is the kind of thing that would even be really good in a Super Friends style deck where you can, whenever you cast the Planeswalker, it's also getting counters put on it, and you're returning historic cards from your graveyard to your hand. It lets you recur Planeswalkers back to your hand and then recast, which is not something a lot of cards let you do, particularly outside of green. So this lets you in white bring that Planeswalker back if you're playing some kind of a white Super Friends deck.
Get you your sagas back as well. That'd be kind of neat too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Fun stuff. I'll move to a common here. I threw this one in because I think it's a really nice budget pick. It is from the Spider-Man set. It is amazing acrobatics. It is a 3-mana counter spell. It says counter target spell, and you can tap 1 or 2 target creatures. I thought it just said choose one, y'all. I thought it just said choose one. It says choose one or both. You do both of them. This is, in some ways, a budget little cryptic command. I know that's a lofty comparison. I completely understand. But if you're playing a budget deck, you could do a whole lot worse than cool, counter your spell, and also those creatures aren't attacking me this turn. Bye. Like, that actually feels kind of neat. As budget counterspells go, I think this is fantastic. Hilda, the Icy Crown decks, Eat Your Heart Out. Riku of Many Path decks, Eat Your Heart Out. It's great for those. So consider giving that one a look. It's in less than 20,000 decks right now, 1.26% inclusion. I wanted to put a blue card into this episode, and here's my blue card. I think Amazing Acrobatics is actually pretty decent.
And, Cancel is still in 66,000 decks.
I knew you would say it.
Right, yeah. I mean, I beat that drum. At this point, there's 30, strictly better Cancel variants out there. Like, this one's really better. A lot of them do like a really net thing that, like, well, my deck doesn't care about that, how often that's going to be relevant. This is always relevant. Tapping creatures is always going to be something that matters. Even if it's not something that's going to be a problem for you, it lets you put shields down on somebody else for free, or free in terms of like a spell you were already casting anyway. That is a really good upside. And there's also going to be situations where just tapping the creatures is all you care about. You're like, oh, it's late in the game. I have Alpha Strike option here, and I can get those 2 blockers out of the way and kill somebody in a way that I wasn't going to be able to do otherwise. And it's attached to a counter spell that you were probably going to be casting at some point, or at least making room in your deck for regardless. So your spell now does double duty. It's going to give you a chance to punch damage through, or counter spell that you don't want to cast.
If it's any consolation, Dana, Cancel's only played in about 66,000 decks these days, which is down significantly.
Yes.
And this card, I should say, is in about a third of those already. So it is catching up. People are finally listening to you. I'm happy to report.
Good.
We understand some people, including us, are not really huge fans of the Spider-Man set, but we are even less fans of you still playing Cancel in your Commander deck.
Yes.
Because that card has been very outclassed.
Yeah. The true Cancel culture, getting rid of Cancel.
What's your next pick, dude?
My last pick. Let's go back to Final Fantasy, people.
Wow. What a well.
It's the card Observed Stasis. 3 and a blue for an aura with flash. Enchant creature an opponent controls. When this aura enters, remove enchanted creature from combat and then draw cards for each tapped creature its controller controls. And that would probably be good enough, but enchanted creature loses all abilities and can attack or block as well. Like, it's just an Imprison and a Moon effect that can draw you cards as well. And one of the extra things I've been logging this year in my stat keeping is how effective a couple of different cards are that I wanted to log. So like Hilda's Crown of Winter, I wanted to see how many cards it actually drew me more often than not. Nice. And Observe Stasis is one of the ones I've been logging, and I've cast it 3 times this year. It's the first time it prevented 8 damage and drew me 3 cards. The second time was 4 damage and 4 cards. Okay. And the third time was 0 damage and 6 cards because I cast it on someone else's turn when they were attacking somebody else for 6. And that rate is excellent when you figure you're also turning off probably the scariest thing that you're going to be targeting that's not going to be able to attack or block or like use passive abilities anymore. And like this card has just been an absolute powerhouse for me in every single deck I've had it in and every time I've cast it.
I love that like every single pick that Dana has had this episode has had a flash, has been instant speed stuff.
Yeah.
Man's got a type.
Yeah.
But you're not wrong.
Yeah. This card rules.
My husband just like came home with the Y'shtola Precon one day. I was just like, oh, okay, cool. And we were playing Magic with some buddies. And he played this one. And I was like, I'm sorry. What does that do? That's a what with the H? This card is crazy. So completely co-sign.
Yeah, I love this card. I got to play with some buddies playing all the precons together. This card is, even in the precon environment, is a house. I love it.
Yeah.
What a card.
But another card I want to talk about from that same precon, in fact, all the way back from Final Fantasy, is a card it's a trend that I've been doing in my decks. I know, Joey, you've talked a lot about how you've been taking out shuffling in a lot of your decks lately. Mm-hmm. One trend that I've been noticing is I'm taking out a lot of the one-shot card advantage cards. Yes, it's nice to draw 2 cards, but I would rather draw 5 cards over the next 2 or 3 turns maybe. And the card that I've really been impressed with that nobody else seems to be playing lately is Champions from Beyond. So from the Final Fantasy 14, precon, it's X white for an enchantment that says when this enchantment enters, you create X/1/1 colorless hero creature tokens. And then whenever you attack with 4 or more creatures, you scry 2, then draw a card. And whenever you attack with 8 or more creatures, those creatures get +4/+4 till end of turn. Now, I put this in my Heir Apparent deck, which like it very easily attacks with 4 or more creatures. But then I looked at all my other decks after I really was impressed with how well this card does. And I have a ton of decks that can just very easily attack for 4, whether it's tokens that I don't really care about that much to draw the card. And also, like, you're getting so much card advantage over the course of time. This card is only played in 1.1% of decks, and that's just not very many, but boy, this card is such a house. And then when you do want to go in for an Alpha Strike, it doubles as an overrun. This does so much work, and it creates the army. This kind of just does a lot of what we talked about for a couple other cards earlier, kind of like Trash the Town. It builds your army. It draws you cards, and also it makes the army huge. Like, it's just doing a lot of everything that you want to be doing in so many decks. Champions from Beyond, I've fallen in love with, and I've ended putting it into several of my own decks, not just the Heir Apparent deck, but others as well, just because it's so powerful.
This is another card where when I saw it, I went right to put it into my cards for wants list ASAP. For me, like, I'll confess that the card draw trigger, I do think it's harder for me to trigger for some of my lists, the way that I play, but I still wanted multiple copies of this card because I like that it could make an army of tokens if you needed to, and that it's just a cool win condition. I got this from my Thalys deck because that deck makes a bazillion tokens, and I got it from my aforementioned Sid deck because that deck cares that the tokens this card makes are hero tokens. This card can do 3 different things, and even if the way that I play, I'm not as reliably triggering the card advantage part of this card, I still like the 2 other things that it accomplishes.
Well, Matt mentioned how it makes the army for you, but it's also equally important that it doesn't have to.
Yeah,
you can cast this
absolutely.
You can when you already have your army out, you've got your 8 or 9 creatures out, and you want to Alpha Strike somebody. This is going to allow you to like drop this for 2 mana. I don't care if I make any creatures. All I care about is drawing the card and giving them all +4/+4, and leaving mana up for the counter spell if someone tries to fog me, or leaving mana up for whatever kind of contingency you have. There's a whole lot of flexibility here with the option to both make the army or not make the army if you don't need to, and cast it for a super efficient, like Beastmaster's Ascension-esque spell.
Giving white a 2 mana overrun is kind of silly.
I really like the comparison to Beastmaster Ascension there. A card that shows up in 5.1% of decks that can play it, and which usually maintains a price of like at being at least $4 or $5 as well. That's one showing up in 192,000 decks.
And this is a bulk rare.
Right, and Champions and Beyond is like so cheap to get, and it's a great point of comparison there. If you're attacking with enough creatures, you get a great big buff, and you're in colors that want to do exactly that.
And did you have one more, Joey?
I do. I'm going to close us out with my last pick here. This is a card from the Avatar set, which I'm a big fan of Avatar here, but I'm also a big fan of graveyards, and that's the most important thing here. This is the card Foggy Swamp Visions. It is a 3-mana black sorcery, but as an additional cost to cast the spell, you waterbend X, so you can pay X mana into it, or use your artifacts or your creatures to help you convoke-ish some mana into that as well. And what it does is it exiles X target creature cards from graveyards. For each creature card exiled this way, you create a token that is a copy of it. At the beginning of your next end step, you sacrifice those tokens. So this is a little bit reminiscent of one of my personal favorite cards, Wake the Dead, which also will get some creatures back from your graveyard for just one turn. Wake the Dead is at instant speed, but exclusively has to be done sort of on the defensive during someone else's combat step. Foggy Swamp Visions is a sorcery that will give you those creatures for one turn. I think when you see this card, it is like, yeah, but they don't even get haste or something, right? And I'm exiling those creatures, so I'm not even going to be able to continue to revive them over the course of next turns. Don't we not like some of those little restrictions on this card? The answer is yes, that those can be an issue. But the other answer is I have a Blood Artist in play, and I don't care. I get the sacrifice triggers at the end of this. And the other answer is that this does not just say from your graveyard.
Right.
It says from graveyards. So if I'm over here in my Mono Black or my Dimir deck, and it looks like you have a bunch of great green ETB creatures that could destroy other people's stuff or give me a whole bunch of life or draw me a butt ton of cards, I think I kind of want them. So this is a fantastic Grave Hate card that all of my little tokens are going to help feed into. I've gotten back 10 creatures really easy with Foggy Swamp Visions, and I'm not even talking about the times when I had an Anointed Procession in play to copy those tokens. This card's really fantastic, showing up in less than 0.5% of decks that can play it. Foggy Swamp Visions is kind of the truth. I really do recommend this one. It is a big surprise for other people and for you when you play it.
Yeah, the ability to target someone else's graveyard is what's so powerful here. And it's nice to be able to cast for double black as well, like you can reduce the cost slightly, but being able to use this to reanimate your stuff or reanimate someone else's really good stuff, or just get rid of stuff that you know is going to be a problem when you just like don't want the person to get their things back.
There you go.
Again, flexibility. Like this is just that's seen kind of been a reoccurring theme here with the cards we've been talking about. They all have multiple uses in multiple situations, and this is another one of those cards where like there's always a scenario where this is going to be doing work.
Yep. And my favorite scenario with it is, let's be honest, I don't mind that the creatures are exiled because the amount of them that I'm getting back and the ETB abilities that I'm getting and the sacrifice effects, the death triggers I'm going to get. Y'all, I'm clearly playing this in my Sir Conrad deck where he sees those things leaving, sees those things dying. I don't need those creatures to go back to the graveyard. I don't think we're getting another turn. Like that's also the capacity that this has as well. So it's fun for a little bit of value. The waterbending on it can actually pump a lot more into it than it looks because you're usually going to have a bunch of those little tokens lying around that you can share into the cost there. And the death triggers that it will cause you to have, it's going to be pretty devastating for somebody. And again, it doesn't even just have to be your own graveyard. So yeah, had to end that off on one of the sleeper hit cards for me from the past year.
I think a lot of this that we've been talking about is just because like there's so many cards that come out. The onslaught of releases and amount of cards that we have to deal with, like it's just so easy to miss stuff. And I think it's really useful to just go back once in a while. Because again, like this isn't, we're not talking, 2013 where 4 sets come out and it's just super easy to keep up. It's difficult to keep up with how many come out and stuff's going to slip between the cracks. So like going over it periodically, and this maybe is something we should redo once a year because again we're going to have 8 new sets or 9 new sets to talk about this time next year that we will have probably missed a few more cards from.
And Dana, I'm going to need you to let us know about more of those secluded Starforge-esque cards that I can then run and get. Because I've literally, like, while we were recording, I was just like, cool, let me put this into my cart. Like, that was fully happening.
I've had my Cardsphere Once page open this entire episode because...
There it is. Yeah.
I mean, having somebody, too, that just, like, takes a different approach. I know what cards I like.
Yeah.
But what cards grab Dana's attention, what cards grab Joey's attention aren't the cards that grab mine. But I need the perspective. And so, yeah, I've added a lot of cards into my Cardsphere 1 list.
And as Joey mentioned with our challenge of stats too, that came from a listener in our Patreon, in our Discord. So like the people that are, go to our Discord, you're going to catch some of these too if you sign up at patreon.com/EDHRECast. Like our listeners in that Discord are also finding these cards. Like it's a great resource for that as well.
Yeah.
The most educated Patreon Discord server around is ours, definitely.
Yeah, there's a whole lot coming out, which means there's always going to be that stuff that you miss, but it's fun to get back in touch with it. This is a lot of gems. This has been fun to do basically a whole episode of Challenge the Stats type of things. Like, hey, don't miss these because some of them are actually really, really great. Some of them are situational, but are super impactful when the stars align. Some of them are just fantastic role fillers, but they've probably all got places that we shouldn't just ignore them. Let's actually like do a deep dive. You get really rewarded when you do so. With that, though, guys, I think it's time that we call this episode to a close. So if our listeners want to get in touch with us on the onlines, where is it that they can find us all? Matt?
So you can find me on pretty much any social media platform, whether it's Instagram, Blue Sky, whatever. It's all the same, at Mathimus55. That's MATHIMUS55. And don't forget, not only do we have the smartest patrons, but we have the smartest brand that we've gotten to partner with over the past few years, and that is Dragon Shield. So make sure if you want to pick up some of the best sleeves out there, even the EDHRECast sleeves that you can get only at Dragon Shield, make sure you use code EDHREC to get yourself 5% off as well.
And Dana?
You can find me online at Dana Roach. I'm writing articles for EDHREC and doing some social media stuff on Instagram and TikTok for Architect. And you can find all of us together at patreon.com/EDHRECast.
And you can find me everywhere online, from Instagram to Blue Sky at Joseph M. Schultz. And of course, you can find the cast online at EDHRECast. Maybe email us a Challenge of Stats pick or something like that, because there's a whole bunch of really cool cards to take a look at out there. With that, listeners, we'll be back at you next week with more data and insights. But until next time, remember, EDHREC your deck before you wreck your deck.